Okay, good morning, everybody. Let's officially begin. So today we are going to talk about the future tense. And you should be seeing the presentation in just a moment. Okay. All right. So this is based on chapter 3 of the book, Fundamentals of English Grammar. And we are talking about the future tense today. So, what is the future tense? It is something that is not yet happening. It's something that is going to happen in the future, something that will happen in the future. So let's do a little bit of a thought experiment, and let's just answer the question, what are you doing tonight? Okay, so since I can't see the chat, I'd like it if someone just opened up their microphone and told me what they will be doing tonight. It doesn't have to be really what you're doing, as long as you just say something in the future tense. So, Alondra.
I'm gonna.
Oh, sorry.
Okay,
Yes.
sorry.
No, you can go right ahead. You've already started. Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna do exercise and study from organic chemistry.
Okay, you're going to exercise and study for organic chemistry. Okay, good luck with that. Um, Armando, what are you doing tonight?
I will be watching television because, oh yeah, I will be watching television.
All right, that's just good enough. All right, good. Thank you. Uh, Let me see. I don't know who spoke before Armando because I can't see who was speaking. I'm gonna call out another name. Uh, Josian, did I already call you out?
Tonight I'm going to run a mile.
Run a mile. Okay. Anybody else who would like to volunteer without me calling their names?
Tonight I will be estudiando
Okay, studying for what?
math.
Okay, good. Thank you, all of you that participated. So, if you guys noticed, you used I will be or I am going to be doing something. And those are basically the simplest forms of the future tense. So there are a couple of different ways to express the future tense. Let's talk about the simple future, as we can see here. It has two different forms in English. One of those is will, and the other is be going to. Remember that be is the be verb. It's not exactly simply just be. You know, you have to conjugate that be into different forms. We'll see that in just a moment. Although the two forms can sometimes be used interchangeably, they often express two very different meanings. Both will and be going to refer to a specific time in the future. Basically, this is context based. Depending on how certain you are that something is going to happen, is when you use will or be going to. We're going to see that in just a second as well. So let's start with the will form, which basically we just use will and the main verb. For example, you will help him later. We have, of course, the main verb help in all three sentences, and we have will. This can, of course, be expressed in questions as well as negative statements. So, you will help him later will also be in the negative form, you will not help him later. And in the question form, will you help him later? As you can tell, the verb suffers no changes. It is just the main verb in its exact glory, and all you do is add will. Let's continue to the next one, the be going to form. So remember that be is expressed in different ways according to the tense. If you remember the present tense, we are using the very same be verbs as the present tense. We're using am, is, and are. Remember that we use these based on the plurals, basically who is speaking, how many people are speaking, etc. Of course, we use the be verbs, and then we use the phrasal verb going to, and then we use the main verb. So you are going to meet Jane tonight. In this case, we have the main verb meet, and meet is exactly as it is. You don't have to change it. You don't add anything to it. It is in its pure form. And then we have going to, which goes, if you see, right before the main verb. So it's going to verb in all of these examples. And of course, since we're just talking about one singular you, then we use the be verb are. So you are going to meet Jane tonight. Of course, we can also express this in questions, which I just realized que me comí el signo de pregunta. Are you going to meet Jane tonight? And of course, in the negative, you are not going to meet Jane tonight. Actually, it's gonna bother me if I don't do it. And all right, so I corrected this. Are you going to meet Jane tonight? So we have positive, we have negative, and then we have questions in the middle. So it's very similar, going back to the will form, because we just have the verb and then we add stuff before the verb. In will form, all we do is add will, which is very, very simple. And then in the be going to form, we add the be verb and going to. All right, so how do we know when to use will or when to use be going to? All right, so you use will to express a voluntary action. For example, I will send you the information when I get it. You can also use will to express a promise. I will call you when I arrive. Or you can also use will to express a prediction. The movie Mulan, of course, the new one that came out on Disney Plus, will win several Academy Awards. Not to comment too much, but I would not pay $30 to watch a movie in my own living room. I'd rather go to the cinema, but that's a topic for another day. So to recap, you use will to express a voluntary action, to express a promise, or to express a prediction. Now, how do you use be going to? You can either use it to express a plan or also to express a prediction. So a plan is, for example, he is going to spend his vacation in Puerto Rico. And of course, a prediction, hopefully, the year 2021 will be a very boring year. I can't take much more excitement. All right. So that was the simple form of the future tense. And of course, such as we saw in the present and the past tense, there is, of course, a progressive form of the future. So the future progressive indicates continuing action, something that will be happening and going on at some point in the future. Remember, that is the big idea, I guess, with the progressive, is that there is an action that started and will continue at some point in the future. And then regarding, depending on what perspective you're looking at that action from, that is how you tell whether or not it's past, present, or future. So this tense is formed with the modal will and be, plus the present participle of the verb with an ing ending. I know this one was kind of hard to process. We're going to see what this means in just a moment. So we use, of course, will, we use be, and then this one, the present participle, is basically a verb with an ing. So I will be running. Of course, if you're thinking about the simple past, all you did that was different, oh my God, all you did that was different is you added the be and then you conjugated this verb to end with ing. And of course, adding the extra letter if necessary. So instead of I will run, we are now saying I will be running in next year's Boston Marathon. By this time tomorrow, I will be taking a literature course. Next year, we will be enjoying baseball season more than basketball season. Okay? You could conjugate all these sentences by removing be and removing ing, and it would be the simple future. And of course, you could take a simple future tense and add be and then add ing to the main verb, and you could make a future progressive sentence. Okay, let us read this table and see how we can differentiate between the be going to and the will, which remember are the simple forms. Be going to and will are used to express future time. Examples A and B have the same meaning. Sometimes will and be going to express different meanings. The differences are discussed in chart 3.5. This is 3.1. I'll show you 3.5 later. So for sentence A, I am going to leave at 9 tomorrow morning. Oh, God. And sentence B, I will leave at 9 tomorrow morning. It is the same sentence. It expresses that tomorrow at 9 in the morning, the speaker, I, will be leaving or is going to leave. Okay. Now these are time clauses. So today, tonight, and this morning, afternoon, evening, week. All these words can express present, past, or future time, as in these following examples. Sam is in his office this morning. Anne was in her office this morning at 8, but now she's at a meeting. Bob is going to be in his office this morning after his dentist appointment. Of course, we can tell the tense of each of these sentences based on the be verbs. But of course, if we add some other information, we can possibly get a little bit more detail in the sentence. Let's see. So Sam is in his office this morning. We know that is used in both the present and the future tense. But this sentence doesn't say anything about future. It just says this morning. And since right now it is morning time, we can conclude that this is in the present tense. Now, sentence D, Anne was in her office this morning at 8, but now she's at a meeting. We have this past form of the be verb was. So this first half of the sentence, this clause, is in the past tense, but now she's at a meeting. Now, this went from past into the present as well, but now, just because of that word now. Okay, so it started in the past and went into the future, and then finally, into the present. And now finally, Bob is going to be in his office this morning after his dentist appointment. This one is fully in the future. This is telling you that Bob, at some point later today, is going to be at his office. And when he is in this office is going to be after his dentist appointment. This actually reminds me, I have a dentist appointment on the 23rd of this month, which is not next Wednesday, the one above that. So we're not going to be meeting on the 23rd, okay? I'm going to set a reminder a couple of days before that class. I, of course, will be uploading some assignment or something later on that day, but let's not get derailed. Let's continue. All right, what are the forms of be going to? Be going to is followed by the simple form of the verb as in sentences A and B. Sentence A, we are going to be late. And B, she is going to come tomorrow. Of course, this looks familiar. This come looks familiar. It kind of looks like the present form, which is why there is this correction here. You don't use the present form of finishing with an S because that would make it an incorrect sentence. She is going to comes tomorrow. Let's continue with the question form, which is the be verb, the subject of the sentence, and going to. So am I, is he, is she, is it, or are they, are we, are you going to be late? You can express this going to be with the noun or the pronoun. Excuse me. Exactly. The noun or the pronoun in between going to and the be verb. Okay? So in the question, we've taken the pronoun, which usually starts the sentence, and then the be verb, and we've changed up their order. Usually when you do that, you can just add a question mark at the end and call it a day. The negative form. So we have be, we have, of course, the negative not, and, of course, going to. So now we go back to our original structure, which is starting with the pronoun or the noun, continuing with the be verb, of course, adding the negative to that, and then, of course, finishing with going to be. So I am not going to be late. He is not going to be late. They are not going to be late. Okay, now continuing with this last part over here, be going to. Be going to is more common in speaking and informal writing than in formal writing. In informal speaking, it is sometimes pronounced gonna, which in phonetics would be visualized as this, gonna. Gonna is not usually a written form. You know, you can use that when you're texting and stuff. I'd rather not see this in essays. Anyways, hurry up. We're gonna be late. So this is the same thing as the be going to, except, well, it's more slang. It's a little bit faster way of saying that. Now, continuing be going to versus will, as is stated earlier, we were going to see this table 3.5. Be going to and will mean the same when they are used to make predictions about the future. Remember that I mentioned earlier that according to their context, they may have a different meaning. Well, in this case, they have the same. In this case, A and B. She is going to succeed because she works hard. And B, she will succeed because she works hard. This both means the same thing, that she is going to have a level of success because she is a hardworking person. We can express that both with is going to or be going to and will. All right, but now only be going to, not will. Be going to is used to express a prior plan. For example, a plan made before the moment of speaking. In sentence C, the speaker plans to build a bookcase. I am speaker C. Okay. I bought some wood because I'm going to build a bookcase for my apartment. That is a person that has the intention of building it. Maybe something happened that he was unable to. This basically implies that they wanted to, but they couldn't. This is why this says is used to express a prior plan or a plan made before the moment of speaking. Now, that was just be going to, which has that context. But now will and not be going to, only will, is used to express a decision the speaker makes at the moment of speaking. So for example, in sentence D, the speaker decides or volunteers to help at the immediate present moment. He did not have a prior plan or intention to help. Okay? So let's see that, sorry. This chair is too heavy for you to carry alone. I will help you. Notice that I contracted will and it became I'll. I'll help you. I will help you. Basically, I've been watching you carry that chair. I thought you could do it by yourself. I realize now that you can't, so I guess I will help you now. Okay? This is a new decision that I took at the moment. Versus el be going to, which is a decision that I made earlier in the past. Okay, so how do we express future time? Well, we have 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5 different ways of expressing future tense. And don't worry about it. That's not difficult. Future is actually kind of surprisingly easy. So how do we express going to? Well, of course, we use the be verb, we use going to, and then we use the base verb. The pronouns we use, according to the be verb, is we use we use am with I, we use is with he, she, and it, and we use are with you, we, and they. So if you remembered that order from the present tense, you're going to have no problems with the future tense. Hold on. I don't know if you guys can see me, but I have a little companion today. And she's saying hello. Y la puse en cámara because she just walked up to me and she wanted attention. So this is how she gets attention right now. Okay, let's say goodbye to Sushi. Her name is Sushi. And, all right. Ya que ella quiso interrumpir, pues, let's continue now, okay? Okay. So we were just discussing the going to form. So of course, as I was saying, well, if you remember the present tense and how to use those be verbs, this is the same thing. So in this case, you don't have to learn any additional be verbs. You don't have to remember anything else because you've already known this. How do we express this sentence? If you see all the sentences here on the right are the same thing. They're just expressed differently. So Juan and Leida are going to study after the game. And I've color-coded this to help you visualize the changes just a little bit better. So of course, study is the main verb here, okay? This is what everybody is doing, study, study, or studying. Of course, we have going to, and in red, we have the be verbs. Going to is going to be the dark green, will is going to be the light green. All the be verbs are in red, okay? And of course, this is going to be seen a little bit later, but the progressive forms, ing is going to be underlined and in dark blue. This is just for visualization. So we have going to, let's continue with will. Let me set the time real quick. Okay. So will and a base verb. Will is really the simplest form of expressing the future time. So you can use contractions. I'm not going to discuss contractions yet because they're not going to be on the test. So in this case, all the contractions are, of course, will. I will, he will, she will, it will, we will, and they will. So it's I'll, he'll, she'll, it'll, will, and they'll. But ignore the contractions. That's not coming on the test. Juan and Leida will study after the game. Compare these brackets with these brackets. Juan and Leida are going to study. Juan and Leida will study. Okay? We're saying the same thing, just expressing it differently. They will study after the game, or with contractions, they'll study after the game. And of course, the progressive form, which is the be verb and the present progressive verb. And same rules with the be verbs and the pronouns, okay? So I am, he is, she is, we are. Juan and Leida are studying after the game. And of course, there are two different ways to express going to and will, which are also progressive. So you have to watch out for that. This would be the base form of the progressive tense. And I say base because it is the most basic form of the progressive. We just add ing to the main verb, which you already know, and then this the be verb in red. So Juan and Leida are studying after the game. In this case, of course, we're using a present form of the be verb, but we have the context here that determines the future. So it's after the game. So the going to progressive form, they are going to be studying after the game. Ooh, I forgot to color this. Okay, so of course we have the be verb in red. We have the main verb in light blue, the progressive verb underlined with ing. And in this case, in the progressive going to form, it's actually going to be. I'm going to edit that right now because I like the color coding. Going to was green. No, it's darker. That should be fine. Okay. And I forgot one thing. Sorry, guys. Here. Oh, what else? Okay, so I added be here. So it's going to be. Because I don't want you to be confused with the regular simple going to. When it's progressive, you're always going to add going to be. We're going to see that in just a moment. And of course, will. They will be studying after the game. We have be, which is, of course, a be verb, and we have will. So basically, the whole point of this is to show that there are very different ways to express the future tense. These first two are simple. And in the progressive form, we have a basic form, and then we also have modifications to going to and will form. Now, let's do a little bit of practice because I realize that is a lot of information there. How do we construct sentences using the future time? Well, I want you to take a moment and make 6 sentences here. Use the simple going to, use the simple will, and of course, be progressive. So in this, you can use either going to or the base form or will progressive. So take a couple of minutes and, okay, take a couple of minutes and just write a couple of sentences. And so it's 8:01. So I'll give you 5 minutes until 8:06, okay? You can write them in your notebook. You can write them on Word. You can write them in the chat. If you write them in the chat, just make sure that you send them all at the same time, not to section them, because sometimes somebody else is doing the same thing and I get confused about who's writing. So yeah, take a couple of minutes. We'll return very soon. If you have questions, you can ask. Okay. So Armando posted his sentences already. Okay, I'm reading Armando's. So I am going to study. Astrid and Larry are going to sing. The dog will play. My neighbors will paint. David will be walking. That chair is breaking. Okay. You could also say will be breaking, is going to be breaking. Okay, good. Evangeli, going to. Yes, thank you for organizing it. I'm going to study. Astrid and Larry are going to sing. The dog will play with its owner. My neighbors will paint the house. David will be walking in the urbanization. The chair is breaking. Okay, very good. Ellie Samuel, I'm going to study. Astrid and Larry are going to sing. Kenneth, I will go to study. Aquí, Kenneth, you confused the will and the going to. So, as it says right here, going to. So you would say, I am going to study. Astrid and Larry are correct, are going to sing. Will. The dog will go to play. You could simplify it even more, just say the dog will play, and that's it. And the neighbors will paint, just like this one. And be progressive. David will walk. The chair is breaking. Okay. All right, that's good. It seems like most of you have a good grasp. There's still a little bit of things to work on, but that's okay. You're going to have some things to work on very soon. Let's continue with the future tense and continue the presentation here. Okay, so expressing the future in time clauses. As I mentioned, some of this requires context to tell you something about the future, like when it's going to happen. Like I could say tonight, or I could be more specific, like by saying tonight at 8, or tomorrow night, or tomorrow morning. Anyways, so there is something called time clauses. These are basically words that tell you when it's going to be. So when, before, after, as soon as, until, while. Any of these plus the subject plus the verb equals a time clause, which is basically an adverb clause. We'll discuss this specific parenthesis a little bit later in the class. Let's not get too confused with this. So the time clause can come. Oh, I got it. There's a typo here. Hold on. Okay. So the time clause can come either at the beginning of the sentence or in the second part of the sentence. Example, when he comes, we'll see him. And of course, we could change it up and say, we'll see him when he comes. Okay? So basically, this is telling you, when are we going to see him? Well, it's based on the conditional or the time clause, when he comes. Okay, it's based on this person's arrival. That is when we will be able to see him. So expressing the future in time clauses. You can use either the simple or the progressive. In the simple, you would use a time clause such as often. In the progressive, you would use sometimes. And both of these are used in a time clause. Just like that didn't make a lot of sense, but we're going to see that expressed in just a moment. So we have when, before, after, as soon as, until, plus the subject, plus the simple present. Somebody turn on your microphone, yes? No? Okay then. Anyways, so I was explaining that use this time clause with the subject with the simple present. For example, we will be here when you arrive tomorrow. We have the time clause here, when. Of course, we have the pronoun you, and then which is the subject, and then the simple present arrive. And then, of course, we have the word that tells us when. It's tomorrow. And the taxi will arrive soon, which, if you can tell, it's will plus a present form of the verb. As soon as it arrives, remember another present form arrives, we will be able to leave for the airport. Of course, we use will here to indicate that this is the future tense. Apart from that, of course, we have will here, but we're depending on this time clause here as soon as it arrives. They are going to come soon. I will wait here until they come. We have the be going to form, and then we use will wait here until they come, which is the time clause. Okay, so these sentences could work on their own without you specifying much more about when these things take place. But that is the point of the time clause. It tells you when things happen. So it's when you arrive, as soon as it arrives, and I'll be waiting until they come. We can use while with the present progressive. Sometimes the present progressive is used in a time clause to express an activity that will be in progress in the future. For example, while I am driving to work tomorrow, I'm going to listen to the tape. While I am traveling in Europe next year, I'm going to save money by staying in youth hostels. So this is just basically something that, of course, is in the future, so it hasn't happened yet. We're using the progressive form, and we're talking about meanwhile. So it's basically during the time in which this action is happening. If clauses, these are conditional clauses. In conditional clauses with if, we often use the present tense forms to talk about the future. We won't be able to go out if it is raining. That means that if it's not raining, then we will be able to go out. We use the past tense forms to talk about the future in clauses with if, or for something that we believe or know will not happen. We could go by train if it was not so expensive. I would look after the children for you at the weekend if I was at home. Okay? It's basically stating the condition that if this thing were happening, I could complete this action. Or basically, you can make suggestions about what might happen. If he came tomorrow, we could borrow his car. If we invited John, Mary would bring Angela. I'm not going too deeply into the if clauses because I'm not going to add them to the test. So actually, I'm going to skip this part. And okay, I thought this was important. So of course, before, after, when, as soon as, until, while, if. These are all the time. These are for all the time clauses. So before means antes, after means después, when is cuando, as soon as is tan pronto, until is hasta, while is mientras, and if es sí, pero sí de posibilidad. So si tú puedes guiar, it doesn't mean sí like la afirmación. Anyways, what I want you to do now is to use these time clauses, these time words, and make sentences with them. Okay, this will be the last thing we do for today. There's 5 minutes left of class, so I think we have just enough time to do this. Let me minimize and move the presentation over here. Okay. So if you want, you can just use before with one, after two, when three, etc., etc. So just make a sentence with the time word, the subject, and the verb. So before you go out, you should feed the cat. Or after you come back from the restaurant, you should do the dishes, for example. Just make your own sentences and post them here in the chat. If time doesn't allow, then I might just add that to Canvas. Okay, I saw something in the chat here. Okay, so Joyce and Alondra posted something else. I'm going to study. Astrid and Maddie are going to sing. The dog will play. My neighbors will paint. David is going to be walking. That chair is breaking. I'm going to study. Astrid and Maddie are going to sing. The dog will play in the backyard. My neighbors will paint. David will be walking. That chair is going to break. So, Londra, in that last sentence, that be should be, I guess, conjugated. So instead of be, it should be is. Okay, use the present form of it. Everything else was good, Alondra. Joyce, very good job. Kenneth, I already commented on that one. Okay. Let me just take one quick peek over here. Okay, it's on the screen. Okay. I'll just upload this for Friday's class then. I'll remove this though. I'll think about it. Okay, so I had two presentations in mind for today. This one is already in Canvas. Of course, since time is running out, we're not going to be doing this today. But I'm going to leave this for Friday's class, and I'll just upload a video explaining this. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Wait, I'm doing this wrong. It doesn't matter. Okay, everyone, there's only a minute left, so I think, did anybody, hold on, this is not what I want. Did anybody write a sentence with before? You can just say it out loud because we don't really have a lot of time.
I wrote after the word you need to clean the garden.
Okay, after you work, you need to clean the garden. That's good. Okay. It's already 8:20, so I don't want to take any more of your time unless one of you wants to volunteer one more sentence, and then
Before you fall asleep, you should study.
okay, before you fall asleep, you shall study. Okay, so after you work, you have to clean the garden, and before you go to sleep, you will study. All right, good. It seems like you guys have a good grasp on that. I'm going to add some things to Canvas on Friday that will deal with the future tense, time clauses, and stuff like that. And then Monday, we will be reviewing for the test. I'll talk about that a little bit later because I still am not sure where I'm going to be giving that test. But don't worry about it. You won't be penalized for it. If I can't come up with something, then I could just roll back the date of the test. That's not going to be an issue for you guys. So I'm just going to keep on adding practice exercises to Canvas, and then you guys can complete those. And anyways, thank you guys for your time, for your attention. I will be seeing you again on Monday. I will be posting more information on Friday. If you want to get a head start on Friday's stuff, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this very same presentation that I added. So if you go to Canvas, you can see the last two things, which are future tense and the future you. The future you is the next thing. That's what we're going to be doing for Friday, okay? So if you want to get a head start, you can just look at that. Anyways, guys, that would be Wednesday, Armando. Wednesday the 16th, unless I can't come up with a good way to give that test, in which case I'll just move it to another date. But let's not worry too much about that for now. Okay, guys. So have a good morning, the rest of your day. Hopefully you don't have much else to do. Se me cuidan, Kenneth, Evangeli, Armando, Alondra. I will see you later.